Let's face it, if you want to learn English quickly, having some financial resources can really help. You could hire a great teacher, buy grammar books and textbooks, but what if you don't have extra money to spend? Well, today I've got several ways and resources that you can use to accelerate your English learning for free. Hello, my fellow English learners. You're listening to English with Sophia. I'm Sophia, and today I'm joined by a special guest, Thomason, to discuss study methods that have worked for us and a collection of free resources we both use and love.
Hi, Sophia, and hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here today and share some tips. I think a great starting point is grammar. Studying grammar can significantly boost your learning.
I agree, Thomason. Studying grammar might not be the most fun activity in the world, but without deliberate grammar study, I would be completely lost. However, I find that grammar rules and exercises are not that effective by themselves. So let's add comprehensible input to the mix. What's comprehensible input, you might ask? It's everything you read and listen to in English that is at your level or slightly above it. This means no more than, say, 4 or 5 new words on a page. What's your take on comprehensible input?
Absolutely, Sophia. Comprehensible input is key. If you consume comprehensible input in English daily, you come across many grammar structures repeatedly. In this way, over time, you internalize many of them. You're able to look at a sentence and feel that something is off. To reach this level, you have to consume a lot of content, thousands of hours of content.
When I was a child, I read constantly in my native language. This helped me develop an intuitive understanding of grammar. I almost never made mistakes in my writing, although when it came to the rules, I couldn't, for the life of me, memorize or explain any of them. It's all well and good, but to reach this point, I read and listened to content for years and years. We don't want to spend that much time learning English grammar, do we? That's why studying grammar can be so useful.
That's true. When you read and understand grammar rules, you become aware of their existence. You start seeing examples of their use everywhere, reinforcing your knowledge and understanding. Basically, study grammar, read and listen to stuff in English, and repeat the cycle many times to really improve.
Right. When you study grammar, focus specifically on the areas where you have more problems. Don't keep learning the easiest topics over and over again. You'll get the biggest boost to your grammar skills if you eliminate or minimize some of your most common mistakes. When I studied for an English exam years ago, I concentrated on articles, subject-verb agreement, and prepositions, and my efforts paid off. You don't need actual grammar books to do that. Let me show you my favorite free grammar resources.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about them.
If you want the simplest explanations of grammar possible, check out grammarbook.com. They have so many examples of the rules to help you understand everything that is important to make you fluent in English. Also, incorrect and correct sentences will help you understand the rules even better. It's also my #1 place to learn punctuation, especially the use of commas. They explain everything so well. Another place that explains grammar in an easy way is the Cambridge Learner's Dictionary. You can learn so much by clicking on the many topics they chose to explain.
To dig a little deeper into prepositions, verb tenses, modals, conditionals, and articles, EnglishPage.com is great. It was the place where I finally understood articles and conditionals. What I love about this website the most is that they also have a bunch of exercises with every topic. So helpful. You can find even more exercises in the grammar section of the Oxford Learner's Dictionary. There aren't a lot of them, but a pretty decent amount.
If you're interested in grammar in a more academic sense and want to learn to speak and write fluently without mistakes, I've found the right place for you. Even 2 places. Universities often offer wonderful resources online for free for their students to learn. But because they give access to those resources to everybody, we can also benefit from them. So you can improve your grammar here, in the online writing lab of Purdue University. Or you can check out a whole grammar course from Walden University. I definitely need to explore this website more in the future. It looks so well organized.
But enough about grammar. Grammar is not everything. We also want to speed up our vocabulary learning. The thing is, this principle of becoming aware of some concepts and then consuming a lot of comprehensible input works here too. You can learn vocabulary faster by combining consuming content in English with deliberate vocabulary learning and looking up new words in the dictionary regularly. Anki, for example, is a powerful flashcard program that can help you memorize new words faster and for longer. It works on two very important principles of active recall and spaced repetition.
You can also create your own flashcards using a pen and paper. I find that flashcards work best when you need to memorize a list of words on specific topics for a class or exam. Right now, I don't use flashcards. I'm especially not a fan of creating them on my computer. Too much effort for me and so boring.
There's another thing that can help you improve your vocabulary faster, and it's choosing the words you learn very carefully. Some words are used more often than others, and you'll be wasting your time memorizing old-fashioned or very specific vocabulary. If you need a list of the most common words, the Oxford Learner's Dictionary is the place to go. You can download the most common 3,000 and 5,000 words, the most common academic vocabulary, and what I love the most, the Oxford Phrase List.
I don't recommend learning new words by themselves without context, though. What you can do is look up these phrases in Youglish. It's a fantastic resource when you need to search for how a word or a phrase is used, or how to pronounce something. But again, even Youglish is not enough to fully understand how to use a word and to make this word a part of your active vocabulary.
And here we need to talk about dictionaries. Learn how to use English dictionaries. There can be no ifs or buts about it. If you want to become an independent English learner who knows the language well, you need to know the basics of how English dictionaries work. In my opinion, you can't go far by relying exclusively on something like Google Translate or ChatGPT all the time. I have many videos where I discuss different English dictionaries and how to use them.
But basically, at B1 level, it's probably a good idea to slowly start transitioning from translation to monolingual dictionaries. When you're reading or listening to something, you only need to look up the meaning of a word and its pronunciation. However, if you want to learn a word and use it in your speech and writing, be prepared to pay attention to such things as spelling, collocations, words that go well together, synonyms, antonyms, and grammar. I'm definitely planning to talk more about these things in the future, so stay tuned for that.
Now, let's introduce you to our favorite English dictionaries. If you've been here for a while, you probably know that I use the Longman Dictionary of Contemporary English the most. I'm used to it, and I really like how it's organized, especially the collocations.
You'll find the simplest explanations of words in the Oxford Learner's Dictionary and the Cambridge Learner's Dictionary. Although I don't appreciate that you need to pay for the full access to collocations in the Oxford Learner's Dictionary. If I need to look up a rarely used or very specific word, I use the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. When I'm reading books about history, for example, this is my #1 dictionary. But when I'm watching TV shows and YouTube, I often need to use Urban Dictionary. If you want to look up slang or some informal expressions, Urban Dictionary is the best. But keep in mind that it's written by ordinary people, so there can be some mistakes and inconsistencies. Also, sometimes you learn something you didn't want to know. Keep this in mind, too.
So we've talked about grammar and vocabulary. Do you remember what they both have in common? They both benefit from you reading and listening to a lot of content in English that you can understand. That is, comprehensible input.
Right. So what I'm going to do now is share with you my favorite places where you can read and listen to awesome content for free. It's a bit trickier with reading because of all the copyright laws and stuff, but some books are available online for free. Check out Project Gutenberg and Standard eBooks. Yes, these are classics, and yes, they can be challenging to read, especially for an intermediate English learner. However, there are plenty of children's books to start from, like Winnie the Pooh and Alice in Wonderland. Love them.
If you want to experience classic literature but want more help with vocabulary and grammar, think about picking up a graded reader. Graded readers are books with simplified vocabulary and grammar. You'll find a bunch of free graded readers for different levels on the website of Victoria University of Wellington.
When it comes to listening, you're in luck. You have access to literally millions of hours of free content. You can find podcasts on any topic imaginable. It solely depends on the topics you enjoy. Just type in Google your topic plus podcast, and voila. Because of my interests, for example, I used to listen a lot to I Procrastinate podcast about the science behind procrastination, Science Verse about the science behind various topics, and The Learning Scientists about the science behind learning. I still recommend them to anyone interested in these kinds of topics, even though now I'm mostly listening to podcasts on YouTube.
Speaking of YouTube, we're literally here right now, and obviously you can find so much content on YouTube on any topic you like. It totally depends on your specific interests. You can even find some TV shows on YouTube. Maybe not the most popular ones, but still. For example, here's the official channel for an Australian teen show, H2O. It's a bit cheesy, but still really fun. And you can get used to the Australian accent for a change. Sometimes people create web series specifically for YouTube, like The Lizzie Bennet Diaries, a modern adaptation of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen.
You might wonder why we haven't talked about speaking and writing yet. Aren't they important? Yes, they totally are. If you want to speed up your learning, consuming content is definitely not enough. You also need to create output. That is, you need to practice speaking and writing in English. I know how challenging it is. Writing is an important skill and a good first step to speaking fluently in English. You're still learning to express yourself freely, only with more time to think.
There are a lot of communities on the internet you can join to practice your output skills, but we're only going to talk about the ones we have personal experience with. I've found that Tom Shemesh, for example, has a wonderful community on Facebook called the Fluency community, where you can practice English in a safe environment among other English learners.
Yes, and you can use any form of social media to find communities and people to talk to. Right now, I personally spend quite a lot of time interacting in English on Reddit and Discord. You can find communities on these platforms on, again, any topic imaginable.
I especially like 3 communities on Reddit: R Language Learning, R Books, and R Tolkien Fans. These are my interests. Google your interest plus Reddit. There's one community that can interest you all, and it's AR Write Streak In. You can practice writing in English there and get feedback from native speakers on your writing. I actually have a video where I challenged myself to write in English every day for a month. It was so much fun.
And as for the Discord communities, you can check out some about language learning here. Look for other people with similar interests, and you'll always find someone to talk to in English, in speech or writing. What are your interests? Share with us in the comments.
And do you know that there's another really great way to speed up your English learning? Check out Sophia's video where she talks about thinking in English.
Thank you so much for listening, and see you next time with more awesome language content.